Okay, hi everyone. This is Greg Gilpin, and I am doing a series of virtual interviews with music educators all across the country. And I just want to rally the troops with positive reinforcements of ideas and considerations for and about remote teaching, which everyone is doing now. I just want to make it practical and usable. This is a positive platform in order to simply reach out and help each other. That's all I want to do. As you know, there are many virtual choirs popping up all over the internet. It's very exciting to see. And I recently been asked by teachers, how do you do a virtual choir? Help me, help me. So today, I have a very good friend of mine, Erik Foster. He is joining me to talk about how to do a virtual choir. I've known Erik for a very long time. We sing together in the studio. He's a producer, a songwriter, and arranger for Shawnee Press, mind you. And, and he just recently produced a virtual choir where all the singers sang God Bless America to honor and support our first responders and our healthcare workers during this pandemic. Everyone, you can look at it, that video right now on my YouTube channel. It's everywhere, but go there, make sure you like it. Make sure you share it on your own social platforms. That would be fantastic. You're going to be very moved by it. So Erik, thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to hear how to do a virtual choir. And I have to tell you how moving your production of God Bless America is. The arrangement is by Paul Langford, and it's all just stunning. It's wonderful. And I know it was a labor of love for you. So thanks for joining me.
Hey, Greg, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you doing this for all those choir teachers out there. It's really fantastic.
You bet. Well, why don't you fill me in on the blanks of what you do in the music industry and what your current situation is with all this going on?
Well, with all this going on, didn't really change a lot of what I do because I work from home. but other than session work and things like that, that had to get canceled, unfortunately. But what I do, I'm an arranger, and just basically take songs that people have written and either make them into what they've asked me to make them into, as far as chorally or even orchestrally, and then just basically give them back what they're looking for. Hopefully, I just kind of make my living that way. So that's kind of what I do.
Now, you're also a producer. I mean, you work with a big company now, doing shows. What's that all about?
Yeah, so Sight and Sound Theaters, there's 2 locations, one in Pennsylvania, one in Branson. I've been involved with them since 2011. And every year, they do these gigantic, over-the-top productions of biblical portrayals of the stories that you would find in the Bible, like Jonah, Moses, Noah, which was their flagship show, Jesus, and then they just tried to premiere this year. Of course, everything kind of got discombobulated, but Esther was the latest project. And what I do for them is basically I'm on their staff of writers and arrangers, and so I'll go in and write. They'll have the songs written, which they're all original, which is fantastic, and then they'll pass them on down the chain to myself, and then I'll write them for the cast to sing. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to go to both locations then and teach the shows to the cast on location, which is by far one of the greatest things in my career that I can think. It's just such a fun project.
Yeah, I have been lucky enough. I've seen Noah. I saw that in Branson. I took my parents when that was there, and it's great. I mean, it's visually stunning. It's amazing what they do. But that's a 2,000-seat theater. It was packed, every performance. It's really quite amazing. So yeah, everybody go visit those shows at Sight and Sound Branson. Where is the other one in Branson, and where?
It's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Lancaster. That's right. Yeah. It's great. So that's got to be great work. Okay, so the nitty gritty. Can you kind of go through the steps of maybe how the average person like me can make a virtual choir a reality, for teachers, and especially the remote teaching, and this gives them a project to do with their kids. So how do you do this?
Well, I tell you, the first thing that you have to have, I believe, as a leader, as a teacher, is the passion to be able to follow through and get it done in the way that you would want it. You want to create something that you want people to listen to, right? So the first thing I think of is how can I face the challenge of making this sonically fit to be able to put out to the public. What do I want people to hear? I don't want to throw it out there if it's not any good. That's just me. I don't want
Right.
to put anything out that's not, so I don't want them to click off of it after 5 seconds. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So one of the things that you have to realize is it's not quite as easy as, okay, let's get everybody together and let's all, send me your selfies of singing that song, and I'm going to put it right out. There's a process to it, and so what we did was we found that there were multiple people that were able to actually record at home. Now, some of them didn't, but some of them did. And actually, in today's technology, a lot of people can. And if you're not doing it right now, it's kind of easy to get up and going. You don't have to have an elaborate setup.
Okay.
You can go as simple as, we had some of the ones in the God Bless America video simply, well, as simply as they actually did just record it on their iPhone through their
Yeah. They can
headphone
use
mic.
this. All
You
right.
can use that. But if you are able to maybe download GarageBand, some of them use GarageBand. You're able to put track. I haven't personally worked with GarageBand a lot, but the technology is in that program, which I believe is a free platform even
Yeah.
be able to record and put things together. What I happen to use is Pro Tools. I like it just because I happen to work back and forth with other producers and arrangers and musicians, and so we trade files. But you don't have to have that, which is good news because some of those things are seemingly technologically advanced for not everybody
Yeah.
can kind of wrap their minds around it, which is fine. But it might take a little bit of digging just to find out what can I do, what are my abilities, and what can I do to make this project, because here's what happens. So the music is put out there. You get all your choir members together, and the way we did it was the director, I would call the leader of the audio portion of the project, was my friend Paul Langford up in Chicago. Fantastic arranger. If you haven't heard any of his stuff, you have got to visit his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
He's all over the web, just Shawnee Press and all different kinds of
And he arranged God
arrangements.
Bless America for
Absolutely, he
this
did. Yes.
project.
Which actually, I didn't know this, but he said it was sitting on his shelf for like 20 years. He never did anything with it. And when we came up with this idea, I didn't know, he didn't know I was going to say it, but I said, how about God Bless America? And he went, I've got one of those.
That's
So anyway,
perfect.
that was kind of neat. Anyway, so yeah. So he put it all together. So he put together a piano guide track because it was an a cappella song. Well, it doesn't matter if it's a cappella or not. The leader of the choral group or needs to find somebody or themselves to be able to play the parts out. It can be done MIDI, it can be done live, however you want to do it.
Hmm.
Um, Now, the best way to do it, I believe, is MIDI because you're able to then set up what we call a click track and then you can just sync it right exactly, and all your retards are already built in. You need to predetermine those. And then so that way when your choir members receive the file, they have a piano and then they have a click to listen to. And then so that's what we did. There was no count, there was no anything. It was just basically piano and click. We put it in our earbud, and then we basically recorded ourselves singing it. Now you can't hear everybody else, which is a downfall of having to do this remotely now.
Right.
But you just have to be confident on your part, and
Hey,
go through.
that's great for teachers. This is great. I mean, that's wonderful.
Oh gosh. Oh yes. And you could make it, you could even do a guide track and then add on to that the bass part, just the bass part. Maybe make that a little louder, or however you
Hmm.
feel like your students are going to be best
Could they also
suited.
use the accompaniment track? Maybe they bought that and they have an accompaniment track.
Sure, you could use an accompaniment track if you, yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Now here's the key to make it easier on the leader as possible, because somebody's got to put this all together. So you want to make sure, and this is I believe one of the best ways to teach the reality of how to sing a choral piece, because like a quarter note is really a quarter note when you're depending on every individual person to sing that quarter note and put that T on beat 2 or whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
So and the instructions would be, you know, the music is real, you know, whatever, that really is a dot on that quarter, you know, you know, make sure that they're all, and then it's so much easier then for you after the fact when you receive all of their files. That's when you as the leader have to go now and you compile all of those vocal files that you've received from your 30 or 40 choir students, and you enter them into your program, and then you have all those WAV files. Then you go through and you line them all up, you know, because the best virtual choir videos that you see, I guarantee you that somebody has gone back and they have moved things a little, they've straightened them up, and they add a little reverb, you know, things to make it sound
cut-offs, things like that.
Oh yeah, because there's gonna be, you know, there were with ours. I'm sure there were. I know that Paul Langford told me that he spent 30+ hours after the fact, after he received everything, simply going through it, lining things up, and then mixing
Right.
them.
And just so you don't scare the teachers, we're talking about Paul, who's a producer, who's very, you know, he's used to doing studio work and wants a certain sound. You know, your choir can be very natural sounding on this, you know, as long as you're pretty close, you know, especially the first time out when you're doing this. So, yeah.
Sure. I mean, you're not making a record. You're putting together a choral piece.
Yeah,
you know?
I think there's a ton of teaching with this, with reading the music, where the rests are, the dynamics, everybody doing the dynamics the same. You're going to give lots of notes to your singers and go, this is what I need here, this is what I need here. And guess what, everybody? You as the teacher is going to hear every one of them sing when you put it together. So you can do all kinds of assessing of your students when you put this together. And then they can listen to it and they can look at it and go, wow, I could have done that better. Oh, we didn't do enough crescendo here. We needed to do the cutoff. It's great assessment. I love
Absolutely. And I think it gives you a great opportunity to teach the importance of what's on the paper is important, like the crescendo, like you said, the crescendos, you know. And because when you're by yourself, you know, usually in a group setting, you are working with everybody else on the crescendos, and you're finessing that cutoff, and you have everybody to work with. Well, when you're on your own, you're on your own, and so it sounds kind of silly when you do like a forte piano or something, and when you're by yourself. But all put together, it gives that such an importance to everybody. Pay attention to what's on the page, you know.
Yeah, it'll be a great learning tool. Even if it doesn't, if you don't find it completely successful, there's going to be a lot of learning with it. It's going to be great.
Absolutely.
Are there any other tips that you would give? What I think I'm going to do is I might do this as an interview 1, and then I might go interview Paul, and because he worked with you on this. And we'll do an interview 2, and we'll get his, you know, point of view of mixing it and putting it all together.
Highly recommended you talk to Paul. He'll give you plenty of insight.
Yeah, that'd be great. Is there anything else? Did you learn anything from this, you know, process?
I learned, you know, I think that that particular project, the God Bless America project, it actually, I think, surpassed everybody's expectations on it, even though we were working with, you know, these professional singers. I'm sure there was like this slight hint of a doubt in their mind, like, really, is this is like this gigantic choral piece, you know? But it really did. I mean, it really was truly, it was an amazing outcome. But it was so rewarding as an individual to say, wow, you know, I can't really hear myself, but I know that I contributed to that. You know, which is the purpose. That, you know, it's all of us working together to make this something fantastic for people to hear. It's just, I think that once the choral students hear the final product, when it's polished and done, I think that's going to also instill in them a like this proudness of being in the choir, that they were just able to put this all together individually. You know, it's a really cool experience to be able to do that.
Absolutely. That sounds great. Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously, part of the thing when you're in choir is the idea of blending and hearing the people next to you. That's not happening, but you have to have a sense of what the final product will be when you're doing this. And so it's just a different approach to choral, which I think shines a light on all the things we've been talking about. It's
Right.
a great learning tool. That's
I believe
awesome.
that by doing it this way, it will present a few challenges that weren't realized from before, like when you're in a classroom setting. But I think all of the challenges that we're talking about,
I found this
uh,
on the web.
Sorry.
I think all of the challenges that we're talking about that this actually presents are good challenges.
Yes.
It's just a different way to help teach in a more in-depth way. It really
Yeah.
does.
And imagine if you do this, then you get to be back in a room together when school starts up, and just the different mindset everybody's going to be in when they approach their music now.
Of course,
Singing.
because when they were on their own, they had to concentrate specifically on their part, on the dynamic, on the cutoffs, on everything. And then when they all get together, I've always thought that the best way to learn a song is to record the song. To have to get it right. You
Yeah.
have to get it right. And I think they'll all be like, wow, I've got to get this part right because I don't want to be the one that my teacher comes back to and has, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, every time a teacher, when we videotape our performances, I rarely listen to anything sent to me, but I'll listen and go, that's not what I thought it sounded like, because it
Yeah.
sounds different.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Well, this is wonderful, Erik. I really appreciate this. This is great information. This is even beyond what I thought it would be about. And
Okay.
a lot of takeaway with educational things, which is perfect, which is really what I want. Teachers are
Well,
going
Greg,
to
I
be able to
really
use it.
appreciate everything that you do in the choral industry. You really made a big difference with all that you do. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing this. And
Thank you.
I'm excited to see what happens in the future with all this.
Yes, and we'll post this soon. And I'm grateful for your friendship. I'm grateful for your talents, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate it.
Okay, bye.